Milwaukee.
Oh, you're going to see the VP candidate.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm like,
Give them my regards while you're out there.
all right, you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, good afternoon. This is the Amherst County Service Authority Board meeting. Board of Directors meeting is August 6th. The time is 1:30. The meeting is hereby called to order. I hope everybody is well. Nice to see everybody, and thank you, everybody, for being, especially thank you for me to being prompt and not late. All right, first item is second item is the approval of the agenda. You've seen the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as it is, or anything to change it?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Martin. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is item 3, which is a public presentation of the audit.
Okay. And we have no public signing up for comments. All right, this works. I provided you with a copy of the audit several weeks ago. I hope you've had a chance to read through that. It's great for insomnia. But here's just a brief overview. Point out that for total operating revenues, we were at 2.15 million. Our total operating expenses, 2.4 million, of which depreciation is $562,000 of that expense, giving us an operating loss for the 6-month fiscal year that we had. When you add in our interest income, connection fees, and that it should title actually system development fees, interest expenses and all of that, we ended up with an actual change in position of $115,000. Our net cash from our operating activities was $387,000. Net cash from financing activities, and that's where the big change in our audit was, is the additional $10 million of indebtedness that the authority took on, was $8,705,000. We received a little bit of rent. We did receive some interest income, so net increase in cash of over $9 million. So everything balanced, which is pretty nice. The actual cash in the bank checking account was 4.2 million at June 30. From our assets, some significant changes. The construction in progress decreased significantly. For two projects, one was the spillway project was completed, as well as the Colony Road waterline project. So total assets increased from 55 million to 58 million. When you take out the accumulated depreciation, we have $27 million there, and our net assets is 31 million. Pretty much what it was previous year. This slide shows, as I mentioned, the major changes in our long-term liabilities. Findings from the audit, wanted to point these out to you. This has been, since 2014, a comment dealing with the separation of duties. And in reviewing that comment a little further than I was able to at the last audit, my response is, in a small organization such as the Service Authority, the administrative team is cross-trained and rotates job duties on a regular basis so that when absences occur, such as vacation, illnesses, COVID, all essential functions can still take place. I think that is a crucial item. We will continue to look at some sort of some controls, maybe some password protections or something like that, but that's still in the future. To address that issue, inventory. There were some issues on the June 30 inventory. Since that time, we have strived very hard to improve our inventory process. We've evaluated inventory to see what was obsolete, and it has been removed from our inventory on the June 30, 24. So that we've made those improvements, and I would like to discuss with the auditors the authority's first in, first out policy for the most effective policy for making pricing recordation. Because as we buy things, obviously from 2000 to now, prices have increased dramatically, and some of our items have still been on the shelf since then. We've reduced a lot of that, but there's still some items we need. Commonwealth of Virginia disclosure statements. One of the 6 forms were not returned by February 1st. Our response was that this year, authority staff and county staff worked hard, and we made sure you guys got everything in on time, and we are in compliance. Comments on internal control and other suggestions for consideration. That was pretty much similar to the FY22 report ending in December 31st, 2022. And those comments were not able to be addressed until after September 23, when we received the 22 audit. And that's halfway through our 6-month period. So a lot of the corrective actions were not totally in effect at that time. I want to point out that the authority and the county finance department, we've worked much better trying to improve our communication so that issues that were noted in previous audits are corrected. And then also I want to definitely give kudos to the county finance department. They've done all of this while working on converting to the new software package, maintaining existing financial information in the old Bright software. That's yeoman right there. That's really a lot of work. I have done that changeover in previous life, and after therapy, I'm recovered, but it's a tremendous amount of effort, and this effort was so much larger than what I had to deal with just as Nelson Authority. So many of the comments of the internal control and other suggestions for consideration have been addressed, and we'll see what FY24 audit looks like. So any questions?
I do appreciate, Mr. Castillo, the taking a look at those and addressing those questions. I recognize the challenges of the segregation of duties when you've got a small staff. I like the idea of rotating, which I understand that won't solve the concern that the auditors have about one person being able to do both sides of the payment as well as enter the bill. I get that. It's a challenge. It's been a challenge for a long time, but all the other ones, I think you're taking steps to move them forward. And I love the new software package. I'm looking forward to seeing the results from that. And a nice 6-month audit, and now we're parallel to the county audit cycle. Yes, sir.
Yes. The team has done this effort, not just myself.
Thank you for the correction.
This is a very, very much a team effort, and the team shall have success.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments from the board? Okay. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4 is the citizen comments or concerns, and you said we have nobody online, and I see nobody in the audience except for the members of the press. I don't think they want to comment. All right. Item number 5 is the consent agenda. Per request, we're going to pull items number 5.1 and 5.3 from the consent agenda. Is there a motion for items 2 and 4?
So moved.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's move now to items 1 and 3. We'll take those individually just because I don't think there's a process to do it otherwise. I'm going to move to adopt the draft meeting minutes for the June 1st, 2024 ACSA Board of Directors meeting. Any comments?
I'll be abstaining because I was not at the meeting.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? An abstention? One abstention. Motion carries. I will make the same motion for item number 3. I move that we acknowledge the action of the closed session June 4th, 2024 regular meeting. Any discussion on that?
Same reasons I was not present.
All right, thank you. Any further discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any absentations? Abstention, same. So one absentation. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 6, item number 6, action items. 6A, the approval for the on-call standby policy, please.
Yes, the reason behind this is we currently have one person who takes all of the after-hours calls, and that's not fair to them, nor is it the right way to do things. We want to establish a policy where that burden is shared between the whole operations team, and that they actually will be compensated for that. This is very similar to policies I have utilized in other organizations. I think that's an effective way to do it, and that way our emergency response groups know who to call. We'll have a single number for that, and that cell phone will be the Monday morning hot potato as it passes from one person to another, but it simplifies a lot of things.
And your request is that we approve the policy for adoption.
My request is that this policy be approved, yes.
Members of the board, any questions on this? Okay.
I don't have any questions. I just question whether we need to approve this. It's just an operational.
Well, it's an operational policy, and I want to make sure that the board is supportive.
Policy's appropriate.
I do have a question. Is the idea of this to compensate them even if they don't get a call?
There is a stipend for them being on call, and part of the on-call assignment is they have to be available to respond, and they have to abide by our drug-free workplace policies, including alcohol. So it does affect their lives, and I think they should be compensated for a small stipend for carrying that duty for the week.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yes,
I
sir.
do have a couple questions. One, about how many after-all calls do we get? After-hour calls?
After hours, it varies, but I've seen as many as 20 in a week's time. Some of them are simple items like, I have a water line break in my house. I need someone to come and turn the meter off. We had discolored water concerns. We have electrical issues.
There's quite a few
There's-
per week.
Yeah, there's several per week.
Now, are the calls for service things that one individual can handle, or does it take?
Most of them are.
Okay.
Most of them are, And a number of them actually can, some of them can be handled just via telephone call, having someone respond directly to that person who's asking for service.
And you have the budget for this?
I'm sorry?
have
It's
the
only
money.
about,
Yes, we have the money in the budget for
so
this.
it's only about $7,800 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm fine.
Mr. Woods and Mr. Martin bring up an interesting comment, and it may, what do you think about striking the dollar amounts from the policy and have that to be an operational item and certainly informative for the board? But that way the policy can stand, and over time you can change the dollar amounts as needed. I mean-
I'm fine with that part. This was where I thought we should start.
Yeah.
It's consistent with what other communities do.
Okay. We can,
Periodically, the localities call around, what are you doing for your on-call people? And a lot of it is just getting people willing to respond and making sure that they know that's part of their responsibilities.
all right. I'm fine with leaving them in. When you feel the need to change that, it may be worthwhile just to do the policy update, leave those out, and then that can be an operational component. You can post what that is and just keep the board informed and have a budget line item, or just have it accounted for in your budget.
Correct.
Okay.
And then to answer your question, Mr. Martin, the last paragraph, in the event of multiple alarms, the on-call person would reach out to
I
the
got you.
supervisor to get assistance, and they're encouraged to call supervision if they have any questions.
So you want a motion?
Please.
Yeah.
If it's okay, I'd move that the board approves the Amherst County Service Authority on-call standby duty policy.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Martin. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for approving the policy. Next one is the resolution for the land use survey, please.
Yes. Whenever we go doing any work within the VDOT right-of-way, we have to obtain a land use permit. Sometimes that's a very quick and easy thing, sometimes it's more difficult, more time-consuming, and it's a additional cost for every time we do that. VDOT has a program called the district-wide land use permit. In following the application for that, they've encouraged us to do that. But one of the things which was required is that there was that the authority have a resolution to have property damage up to $1 million, which we do, and $75,000 if there's any kind of lawsuit, which we have that insurance. Whenever we have done a land use permit, we've always referred to Resolution AVA 00082. Come to find out, through our research, that was done in 1985 with a cap of $10,000. So this is updating all of that to the current standard, and this resolution form comes directly from VDOT's application. I just inserted Amherst County Service Authority in there to make it official. This is what they need to see. So I'm asking for a motion to approve the resolution 24A 0002R, please.
How does this affect our policy coverages? I'm assuming we've got at least $1 million now.
We are well covered with all of these things, so it really does not impact the authority in any way. It just makes us legitimate as far as VDOT is concerned, because they will now have a resolution. When a private entity goes and gets a land use permit, they have to obtain a bond. And this prevents us from having to do that.
Okay.
Plus, my understanding is this kind of gives us a blanket ability to do work, and we wouldn't have to get individual land use permits
That
each
is-
time we needed to do work.
That is very correct, and that's what we're working towards.
That's a great point. Any other discussion, or any other questions, let me say? If not, is there a motion for this?
I'll make a motion that the board approve resolution 2024-A-002R, the VDOT land use surety.
Thank you for the motion by Mr. Wade. Any discussion on the matter? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion now carries. Next item is the ARPA funding grant.
One last comment I do want to make is that working with VDOT, this is what they recommend, and they have been extremely good to work with to get our land use permits. Sometimes they get sideways on some of the little technicalities, so by doing this, we will definitely streamline and continue improving our working relationship.
Good, thank you. All right, next item is item C, ARPA funding grant subrecipient agreement.
Yes, this agreement is between the Service Authority and the county, where the county has authorized under Resolution 2022-0002R, awarding the authority $2 million of ARPA funds. And this agreement commemorates that, so that when the end of December, when all the funds have to be committed, this functions as that commitment. We still have until December 26th to have the funds expended, which we should be on track for that.
Okay, any questions about this? What are you going to commit the funds to before December 31st, 2024?
The funds have been committed to extending public sewer into areas that are not currently served, and $1 million was committed to the Gateway project.
Okay, so they are committed.
They are committed on our side. This just formalizes that. I've reached out to all of the members of the associations group and received 14 responses of agreements that they have used. One was 4 pages. Some of them from Northern Virginia, they paid their attorneys by the pound, evidently, because I had 72 pages to read through, and I took the best of the agreements. The agreement between the town of Bedford and the Bedford Water Authority is what this is modeled after.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that the ACSA board approve and execute on behalf of the Service Authority the ARPA funding grant subrecipient agreement as presented.
All right, thank you, Mr. Woods. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Now we're going to move on to the discussion of the town center development.
Oh, no,
Nope.
sir.
So did I miss one?
Authority
Oh,
funds.
excuse me, I got a wrong check. Item D, authority funds investment.
Okay.
Got ahead of myself.
The authority currently has our cash in 3 different accounts, approximately $500,000 and $1.2 million, almost 1.3, in existing money market accounts, and those are earning a whopping 0.1% interest at the time. And we have $5.3 million sitting in a cash checking account, earning nothing. What I am requesting from the board is authorization to move forward with joining the local government pool, which is operated by the state treasurer's office, their investment pool, in the short-term program. It's a $1,000 entry deposit, and the great thing about this, it's a short-term. Daily, we could go in and put money in and take money out. It's very, very fluid, where, and currently is earning 5.42% after fees. So it beats what we're currently doing. Met with Davenport, our financial advisor, and that was the direction he recommended. Also met with Stacy to talk about cash flows and what we need to do to make sure that we are in good shape. Then I met with Joanne as treasurer to get her input and from her perspective, this is a great idea, and we need, because they've been thinking about that, but hadn't really approached us too much to do anything with it. So her recommendation would be leave $1 million in the actual cash accounting, or cash checking account, and invest the remaining funds in the short term, which will allow us to move forward towards the $200,000 goal I have for interest. Yes, I am. I was, I thought it. I'm sorry. Is that better? I'm sorry, Mr. YouTube.
Just for clarification, what is it that you're requesting? Not, it said in the summary to move funds to and from, but that should be under your purview. So you're requesting to open up an account?
Open up an account with the Virginia Local Government Investment Pool, please.
All right, I have one question. So did you check with any of the local branches to see what type of interest rates you could get? I know there's different specials and so forth that they do run from time to time. Just wondering.
I have not, I looked at what other communities do for their investment programs, and most of them go this route. So
Okay,
I
and
feel
then-
this is the most beneficial route for us right now. I did talk with the treasurer about doing an RFP for banking services for the authority, so we can get the best services we can.
So, yeah, you can get 4.5% at a lot of local banks now, on some of these accounts. The other thing is, if you close this account or pull the money out of the account, are there any exit fees? Are there
No.
anything associated with that?
No, as long as there's $1,000 remaining in it, we're members, and there's no, I mean, there are regular fees, the regular operating fees, but there's no transaction fee, to the best of my knowledge.
Stacy?
Something else,
This is a more fluid account than if you went with like a money market.
correct.
That's
The-
the important
Would you repeat that, please?
The local government investment pool is an extremely fluid account. If we went with a money market or a certificate of deposit, we lose that fluidity. We can, if something were to break tomorrow, I could go to the pool and pull whatever funds we need to pay the bill
Thank you for bringing that up.
without
I'll
any,
share one thing with you.
Yes, ma'am, please.
please do. But we've had great conversations on this.
Yeah, so I shared with him, this particular pool is extremely fluid. The city of Lynchburg literally pulls money and puts it back on a daily basis. When I worked there, we had one person, that's all they did. Make sure we had cash flow, but we used our investment to the best ability.
Okay.
So the money markets get a little hairy because you can only pull out so many times a month, and you don't want to get hung up and not be able to get your cash.
So this is the consensus from all of our financial gurus. It's the best option for us to get the most return on to make our cash work for our customers.
I do support the idea of going out for an RFP for your regular banking services. And maybe fund that and see who can give you the best service for the price.
Correct. I know we will be doing that. And actually, I've been able to obtain, Augusta County did that, Augusta Water did that not long after I left. So I've been able to obtain their RFP, so I should be able to change it. They went to Augusta Water, so I just can't use ACSA.
Okay. So this is what's the name of this account again?
It
Or
is
the name of the group? There it is.
Virginia Local Government Investment Pool, and
Okay.
going with the short term, not the extended term.
So let's go with the motion being to authorize the executive director to enter into the Virginia investment pool and local government investment pool.
Thank you.
All right, I'll make that as a motion just for clarification. Is there any discussion about that or other thoughts? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. And at this point, I am going to have to excuse myself from the meeting. Even though the plane hasn't arrived yet, they still haven't delayed the local one. and I've got about 20 minutes before we allegedly board. So I'm going to.
Safe travels.
I'm going to take off. Thank you. I'm going to pass the gavel to Mr. Wood.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Next item on the agenda is action item E, discussion of town center development.
Okay, very quickly on this, is, this item has been brought up again. I know we met in our May meeting, and Mr. Patel presented to the board his perception of what a developer should do or not do. Within our existing codes, all the costs are the responsibility of the developer. Should the authority determine that an oversizing is beneficial to the authority will compensate the developer 90% of the added cost of the system by receiving of system development fees for a period of 10 years. Since the May board meeting, the authority has continued to support and work with the town center appointments, phase one, to make sure that they had sufficient potable water service. We assisted with pressure testing of their potable side, as well as their fire system. We actually were called out at 5 o'clock when they decided all of a sudden they're going to test that system, and they had fluctuations in their pressure. They hadn't bled all the air out of their line yet. So we worked with them, make sure that all our valves are open to assure them that we were providing them full service. We also submitted to the developer what the system development fees were required to be, and account setup fees, the deposits and all of that. We received that payment on the 28th and turned the system on for service that very morning, making sure that they had service. We've worked with their team, opening various lines and closing various lines because they had, unbeknownst to them, their building 2 was missing its fire pump, and the line was open, and when water was turned on, a bunch of water went where it wasn't supposed to. So we helped, contain that and assist them with closing valves. Lastly, the county's building department was trying to find an RPZ. They thought it was an pressure vault, which it was not, and we had assisted them with that investigation. But after the June board meeting, Mr. Patel inquired of me if there any more conversation by the board regarding his particular development. I told him there had not been, but I would bring this issue one more time before the board as to where we need to be. My interpretation of the of rules and policies that infrastructure constructed to serve a particular development is the responsibility of the developer. And those costs must be borne by the developer, not our current ratepayers. If indeed we have a situation where we can expand our system and improve our total service, or we are dealing with a particular service area that is a little substandard in services, and a development comes in that we would oversize, we would follow our policy and reimburse for that cost of oversizing. But otherwise, it's my interpretation and experience that the developers pay for their development work, infrastructure, and then deed that over to the authority for ownership and operation and maintenance. So, but I told Mr. Patel I'd be bringing this issue back to you guys. I do know that after our May meeting, I forwarded to you the emails that he referred to, where after the fact of the project, Mr. Hopkins said, yes, we would be doing the work of making the connection. And what happened with the connection is that we would have to, because of being in 29, we would have to hire a contractor to do that because we didn't have the equipment or the manpower to do that. We would hire the same contractor that Mr. Patel had on site already. He took it, he paid the bill, so it didn't have to go through our bookkeeping. That's the only difference. So we did not charge him a connection fee per se to cover our costs. Because our costs, while we had meter cost and a few others, just to put this to bed, that's where we ended up. There was not a connection fee. They paid the system development fee as in our rates and fees. So.
All right,
I just want to confirm that I'm following the policies, and if you guys want to look at policies, we can do that. I'm happy to do that.
I agree with what you brought us today in your policy to keep it as is.
Okay.
Any other comments? All right. Go to agenda item 7, informational report.
Okay. A couple notable items. We've improved our SCADA system. First of all, are there any questions in what I provided? Okay. I want to point out, we've improved a couple things within our water treatment plant, our monitoring equipment, our streaming current monitoring, which measures the ions as it goes through the water, make sure we're getting our negatives and our positive ions together and optimizing our chemical feeds for proper coagulation. Our former equipment, after I think it was 12 years old, lost its scaling, lost its scaling. It was reading, but the scaling was all out of whack, so the operators kind of were guessing as to where they were doing. We replaced that, and while doing that, we also included in that a free chlorine monitor probe. Our existing system used chemicals and required quarterly calibration by the manufacturer, which was a pretty expensive proposition. So by doing that, the actual probe had a 2.5-year return on investment, which I thought was very favorable. And then our turbidity monitoring system, it was 15 years old, and the human to machine interface died. Could not see what was going on. It was still submitting data to VDH, so we were within permit compliance. But our concern was if a health inspector were to come in and say, yeah, that thing broke last week, they'll go, yeah, right. So we worked as an emergency purchase to get that replaced, and it's now functioning the way it's supposed to be. And then actually the better issue we have is we've improved our SCADA system. Our former SCADA system was Rayco monitoring, which was telephone landline based, and it would call out whenever something would happen. And over the years, telephone lines and just hardware failures, that system was pretty much, it's obsolete. It was state-of-the-art for the late 90s. But we ended up more or less relying on the city of Lynchburg to contact us should we not be sending any sewage over to them, if their operators noticed that on their end. So we've got that all corrected. The cost, we went out for proposals. Cost was, one provider wanted to lease us the equipment at $25,000 a year. Another one had a capital cost of $299,000 for the whole thing. We selected a system that was actually $24,520. So we basically have a savings of over $4,800 annual operating costs by canceling our Verizon landlines, and we now have reliable information. And we utilize this not as a control, but as a data acquisition tool. There's a couple of pictures here. We can actually monitor the existing tank levels, where before the system had to call out, or we had to call out periodically to know what our distribution system tank levels were. And if indeed there was a sudden drop of tank levels, it may or may not call us. So we've been able, it's set up to operate that way. And then our sewer pump stations, high level power outages, pump run failures are all now being monitored and contacted to a computer here, so that the operator who's on duty, and it also calls out to a cell phone. So we actually have real monitoring, and the operators are very happy that we can actually see what's going on. Then lastly, a quick update on staffing. We still have 2 full-time positions open. One was due to a resignation, and we have an employee who will be going out on long-term disability. We've also hired a part-time Class 1 water operator for short-term coverages, covering on a Sunday. That way it allows us much more flexibility. And Berkeley Taylor, who we rewarded several months ago for getting his Class 3 wastewater license, will be coming out of the water plant more to operate the wastewater systems. So we're able to utilize our staff in a more efficient manner. And that's what I have to report.
All right, any questions? Appreciate the update. Let's see, we'll move on to item 8, citizen comments. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 9, matters from the members of the board. Any comments for? All right, and I think that concludes the meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Stacy.
I like that. Yeah, I'll stay for more fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got it a little while, but yeah, we got another one of 3, but I don't think it's gonna be too bad.